Hey, Sam again, Rainbow Stitches. I was sitting here thinking to myself, like, I should really be working on something. And then I was thinking, hey, maybe you could work on something too, but what are we gonna work on? We should work on things that we haven't finished yet. Because we know we need to, and we know they're taking up space. It's WIP Wednesday. WIP, of course, standing for work in progress. We're gonna take projects that we've put to the side, maybe because we've gotten sick of them, or if you're like me, you don't have all the supplies that you need all the time, or I get sick of piecing, so I move on to another project that needs quilted instead, or basted, or ironing, because God knows I hate ironing, so I put it off till the last possible second. If you need to work on a WIP Wednesday is the best time. So this is gonna be like a therapy session. We're gonna meet on Wednesdays. We're gonna work on our WIPs and we're gonna get it done. So today I bought everything that I needed for my niece that's on her way. Baby shower's coming up this weekend, so I gotta get it done. No more procrastinating. And since it's gonna be a special family project that I'm doing, I brought out a special family machine. My grandma passed away a few months ago and left me all of her sewing supplies. So I'll show you the beautiful machine that she left me, and for me it's gonna be really special. This will be my first time sewing with it. So we'll sew a family blanket with a family machine, kind of like passing generation to generation, and get our therapy session on for WIP Wednesday. So this beautiful absolute unit of a machine used to be my grandma's. It's a Kenmore model 1947. And it was super cool because it was basic. You could put it into a table and it did zigzags. That's just crazy to me because I've of course got my modern machine that does all of the bells and whistles, and this I had to thread like 3 different pieces, and I wanted to show you this super nifty side piece opens up, if I can get it to. This is all the beautiful machinery that's in there. So I wanted to show you the awesome fabrics that we're going to be working with. Luckily for me, there was a super awesome sale at Joann's, and I've had this sitting around for a long time, knowing that I should be doing it, but WIPs sit around, they collect dust, don't they? In fact, that's what that box right there is. It's full of 2 jelly rolls, I think, that I'm gonna make a rainbow jelly roll race out of. But of course, when projects are for me, they never get done. So this is the backing fabric. It's super freaking soft minky. It was $14.99. And then they had it on sale because I think they were going out of clearance. But these are just 1 yard cuts. They're 1 yard by 58. So let me unravel this here. Who puts sticky stuff on a minky? And of course, obviously, I'm gonna wash all this stuff in like fragrance-free baby soap and everything before I give it to her. So this is pretty sizable. We're going to sew, this is the backing, and this is what's going to be on the front. Pull this off so you get the big picture here. It's another minky, but it's not textured. Super pretty and floral. Her name kind of is a derivative of a flower, so I thought this would be really cute for her. So here's the front fabric. Isn't it freaking cute? I'm super excited. Let me show you how we'll put the two pieces together, and then we'll leave a space, flip it back right side out because we're going to sew it inside out, and then we'll finish it off, kind of make the seams tight, that way they don't pull apart, and we'll do a probably 1/2 or 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, just to make sure that, you know, this is really tough. It's gonna get washed a whole bunch of times because it's a baby blanket, and obviously since it's so soft and fuzzy, it's thicker, so you're gonna want to need a thicker needle. Make sure you're not using a needle that's like a really small one for satin stuff. Ballpoint's probably going to be the best. Let me show you how we stack these on top of each other, right sides together, and get everything prepped in order to start sewing. Okay, so I laid this out on the bed, all beautiful and nice, and now I'm messing it up. Just to show you just how big this cut is, and to show you how we're going to lay the top on. And the top has selvages. It's fine. It's gonna end up inside the piece. Like I said, I wanted to do a really big seam allowance, and then we're gonna flip it inside out. So knowing how big this knowing how big this selvage is, you can either cut it off and probably cut the same amount off of the pink one for the backing, or just have really big seam allowances. That way you can cover it, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. That way the whole outside has a border probably like this. Makes it super comfy. So lay that back out. And we're gonna put these right sides together. All right, now obviously no two fabrics are the same width, length, whatever, even if they say it's a 1 yard cut. And minky fabric is super slippery. So, da da da, the secret. This basting spray washes off. Otherwise I wouldn't be just spraying it on my bed. But I'm gonna spray only around the perimeter. Stick them together, and then I'm gonna use basting pens, and I'll show you how to do that to make sure they stay together. That way when I'm feeding it through the machine, they don't slip and slide and get all wonky. So now that it's all stuck together with basting spray, you use basting pins also, just in case. Basting pins, I'll show you here. Curved safety pins is basically what they are. And they're curved so that when you put it through, it picks back up and pins it right for you. But since I'm on my bed, I'm gonna have to pick it up anyways. So these pins are just to make sure the spray holds. Not that I doubt it, but since the bottom minky is bumpy, textured, whatever adjective you want to use, I'm gonna use these just for triple measures, you know? Okay, so I wanted to zoom in on this part. You're gonna need to leave 6 to 8 inches of space in your sewing so that you can turn this inside out. So I'm gonna mark that with these 2 pins here. And just say that I'm not gonna sew from here to here. It's a little back stitch and everything to make sure this is secure. That way when we turn it inside out, obviously we'll have to pull through the stickiness. When we turn it inside out, we won't have any issues. So let's get this over to the machine, get a perimeter, get probably some ends cut off because we don't want too much excess in there, and then I'll show you where to go from there. All right, so I've got everything pinned, sprayed, put together. I'm back over at the machine, and since there's more pink than there is the top fabric, I am going to stitch so from this side so that I'm not blindly stitching from the pink side down and hoping that I'm getting the right amount of white in there. You've obviously met Kenny the Kenmore. Let's get zoomed in and I'll show you how much on the other side of the needle I'll leave, and obviously again we'll back stitch around that opening, go around the perimeter, back stitch again, cut thread, flip it. I'll show you what to do. Let's start at the one on the right, obviously, since our feed dogs are going to be pushing us that way. And over here, you can see the selvage, kind of the dots from the selvage here. So what you're gonna do is keep your foot to the left of these selvage dots. Obviously, make sure you do not run over any pin ever with any sewing machine. Just to make sure, scoot away a little bit. We know this is well beyond the foot. Let's get going a little bit. I'm gonna pull my reverse button here. And if you're like me and learning a sewing machine, because like I said, this is my first time stitching with this, go slow, take your time. Nobody's rushing you, just your deadlines. But it's WIP Wednesday. This is supposed to be therapy. Take your time. Let's needle down. That way when we lift our foot, we can just pivot. So the needle was holding the fabric in the same spot while we just picked up our foot, spun it on the needle basically, and came back down after we repositioned and put the foot back down.
So hopefully you remembered to take out the pins and everything as you were going around. If not, do a double, triple check. Make sure that you're not leaving any safety pins inside of a baby blanket. And then you'll go back to this little hole that we left. And remember, this all stuck together if you use the basting spray. Reach your hand inside said pocket after you've separated it. Come down to the very end here. You might have to do some pulling a little bit because that spray. And then, let me show you from this side. Here's the little corner. You know what? That's a lot of extra fabric left inside if we were to just turn it around. Let's cut around it. Let's cut off some excess fabric. Find that little entrance hole again. Get down to one of the corners. So basically, my middle finger is going to meet my other middle finger. I'm going to push that corner into this pocket. If you don't want like a really bulky corner, from the seam allowance you can cut across, obviously leaving yourself some space. This is what I mean. Instead of having that peak of fabric there, you just cut it, leaving yourself a little bit of room after those stitches. Take your arm all the way to the end of the blanket, find a corner, poke the corner into your hand, and start pulling it back out. And I want to have really crisp corners. So I'm separating the two fabrics because they're stuck together with that basting spray, right? Again, take the corner, tuck it into your hand, pull it through, separate. And this isn't going to hurt either of them, either of the fabrics. And it'll all come off in the washing machine. One last corner here. Pull it through. And I like to pull on my corners here just a bit, because I like them pointy but not crazy, you know? So like this is good. Might even be a bit much, but since it's for a baby especially, just work those corners and leave them a little rounded in my opinion. Obviously everybody's tastes are different. So, because I've got probably an inch of good fabric on both sides, I'll come in about a ½ inch and stitch along the perimeter again. And we'll start probably around this main hole here. So let's get it back under the needle and get her done. That's it. super simple blanket, and if you're like me and you procrastinate until the very end, it'll get done right before the baby shower. You can get that done in like an hour if you're good and quick about it. It's a really good therapy session for our WIP Wednesday. I hope everything was really meditative and that you feel a lot better. I feel a lot better. I feel like that's something I got off my shoulders, you know? Anywhooser, I'm super glad that I got to sew with you. Hope to see you next time. Bye.